close now.
A brief overview, because he did do a five section video on this whole thing, the problems within the fitness industry, which, by the way, I don't know what came first, but I noticed yours, and then I noticed a lot of other people did similar ones. So I think that, I don't know if you can take the credit for sparking that off, but there was definitely people in your friend circle that did similar ones, and I thought that was brilliant. So problems in the fitness industry. Overview your thoughts, opinions, and how to relate that to someone who's just getting into training.
So problems in the industry. I think I was the first person to do a series like that.
Yeah.
Brittany Lester is one of my best friends, and I know she did one a little bit later on. I guess about maybe a year after I did mine.
Yeah.
I knew she was going to do hers, like we talked about it beforehand. Obviously, I don't have any issues with people doing that. I think it's fantastic, especially if they have a big platform like Brittany does. So it actually started because I was watching a haul video, which I talk about in the first one, and this person was like, "Oh, these are my like spring favorites," and I was like, "God, this seems like a lot of stuff." And so I actually did the math and calculated out like how much it was. It was like several $100s of things in this it was a monthly video. It was like a February favorites, and I was like, if somebody spent the amount of money and got all these things that this person is recommending, they'd be spending like over $1,000 every year on stuff that they probably don't need to do anything. Like, I think it's great to make recommendations, but I think people just don't have any concept of how much power influencers have. And that's kind of what started it. And I really just I got super heated one night and realized that. And I turned on my camera in my kitchen and filmed for 12 minutes and edited out one section and published it.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody's going to see this. It's there's no way anybody's going to watch this. And now it's got a pretty good amount of views, I think. I think it's got 5,000, which I'm happy with considering I haven't put out content in a really long time. And then I kept getting set off by other things is really what keeps happening, is I'd get really annoyed by something and want to talk about it. So almost all of them have some kind of trigger that set off that particular video. And I don't remember what all of them were, but I definitely know that every time it was just me getting annoyed about something, and then I'm well enough aware of myself to be able to speak for 10 minutes on camera and just publish it kind of as is, which is what I prefer to do anyways, because I don't need to do a whole lot of editing. I don't want to do a whole lot of editing. And I really want to get back to it and make more of them, because I have a million things I'd like to talk about. I just haven't made the time to do so.
Yeah. I think the idols one was one that there was so many points in that. I think that was the second one. There was the money one as well. Yep. I think those two came together. But the idols in the fitness industry, and we briefly touched on it, transparency is now becoming a thing. That's really, really, really good. But you still can't follow without, someone literally following someone's life and being a live feed for the rest of their lives. You can't see everything. I think people are doing a better job of it. I think with Instagram, everything, to bring up your friend Brittany, I feel Matt Ogus currently does it. They do a really good job. That's really cool. But the idols in the fitness industry, we've touched on before, but your advice to someone who's just getting out, who's following all those people and is idolizing them, because I hear it quite often, oh, I want to look like this person. What's your advice from someone who's probably seen it around people who have people feel like that towards them? Use Brittany as an example, huge following. What's your advice?
So I think idolization is it's such a good and bad thing, right? Anybody that says oh, people don't idolize me, I don't want to be somebody's idol, it's probably a lie if they have a big social media following, because at the end of the day, they make money off of being someone's idol, off of people wanting to look like them or be like them or do the things that they do, and then buying things from their sponsors or affiliates or things like that, or viewing their YouTube videos. People make money off of all of this stuff, right? So you have to take that with a grain of salt and understand that not everything that somebody posts is going to be 100% true. And yes, there's a lot of transparency going around, but there's also a lot of people taking advantage of the transparency thing and pretending to be transparent about things when maybe that's not really who they are, but they want to be like everybody else and they want to show that they're real. Some people are exactly like you think they'll be. Nikki Blackadder, for example, is one of the nicest, most genuine people I've ever met. She really is exactly like she is in her videos or online. Brittany's the same way. She's exactly the same in real life as she is through her social media. And I feel that way about a lot of people, but there's also been some people that I've met that aren't like they are in social media world. And there's different reasonings for that. Sometimes they're just more introverted. Sometimes they just make a lot of money off of their physique and don't really have to be a nice person in real life. But at the end of the day, like, your body, your hormones, your mental state, all of that is so unique to you as a person. You're never going to look exactly like anybody else. And that should be a really cool thing for you. That should be something that's awesome. And it should be a huge plus because you have this concept, you have this allowance to create your own physique and your own brand and your own body that's totally unique to you and doesn't belong to anyone but yourself. And I think a lot of people see that as a negative, but it's really such a positive because you get this opportunity to do something that's just yours. That nobody could take away from you and nobody can influence, really. So yeah, you just take everything with a grain of salt, right? Like, it's great to idolize people. It's great to talk to others. I've met a lot of my very close friends via social media, and I've been very lucky that all of them have turned out to be really amazing people that I love and adore. But at the end of the day, it's your body. It's your life. So whatever you're going to do, just make sure you're still happy with what you're doing every day. Not just every few days, but literally every day. Be happy with what you're doing, how you're training, what you're eating. Like, make that something joyful.
Cool. Now, the topic I know nothing about, and I want you to explain what it is and give a pretty brief rundown, please. I know I've kept you a lot longer than the 20 minutes I promised, but thin privilege.
I just started talking about this. This is something I've been working really hard to learn about because I started talking about privilege and I was following a couple of influencers that were being pretty open about the concept of privilege, and I really loved learning about it. And so I've done a lot of work to find more people that talk specifically about different kinds of privilege, things like ableist language. Like, there's all these kinds of things that I didn't know anything about up until maybe like 6 months ago. And thin privilege is one. There's a couple people that I follow that have specifically talked about it, and I've been able to learn a little more. Thin privilege is a tough topic because you don't want to like shame anybody for the way that they are. But as with any kind of privilege, the thing that's important is being aware of it. Because if we're not aware of it, we can't understand how it impacts both us and other people. So the concept of thin privilege is basically opportunities or benefits that are allotted to someone because they are genetically skinny or thin. That's like short and long definition. So it's similar to like what you would consider with any other kind of privilege based on something that somebody can't change. They're given more opportunities or more benefits. So an example, I went on this big like Twitter rant. An example of that would be there was a trend going around for a little while where people were showing off the fact that like when they sat down, they had like stomach rolls, which is super awesome and really cool. I participated. I thought it was an amazing trend. But you also had a lot of people that don't naturally have like belly rolls, that are very lean to begin with, that are very small, and they would crunch themselves over so that they did have some rolls, whether it was rolls of skin or fat or whatnot, and then they take the picture and post it. And those people got a lot of praise for that, which is fine. But they also got a lot of praise for the fact that they were lean in their other photos and their other posts. And that's kind of the concept of thin privilege, right? Is that one person is able to fit into two categories. They can be both the inspiring FITSPO, who has this amazing body that's like goal body or dream body, and they can be this like, oh, relatable, I'm so relatable, like I have belly rolls too. And they can be both of those and get praised for those, whereas somebody who may be like 22 or 24% body fat, which is a perfectly normal and healthy percentage to be at, might do one of those photos or post one of those things, and they're not going to get that same kind of response. They're not going to get that same kind of support because they don't have that same level of privilege. That makes sense? That's like I'm hoping that makes sense in some way.
I totally understand it. I think the people who are naturally leaner and athletic, like at the end of the day, we've got a huge genetic component to us. Unfortunately, like your heritage has a massive set point of where your body fat is going to be. You'll generally find Eastern Europeans are generally more have a higher body fat percentage set point than, say, I don't know, let's look at anybody else. Sorry, without like having it off the top of my head. But the people who are generally leaner and for the point of social media, not for the point of social media, but they are leaner, then they show that kind of stuff. It kind of makes them seem, you can see the flaws if you know what you're looking at. But for the average consumer of all of this, they go, oh, they're an amazing person. They look super lean all the time, but they are just like me. Well, I've seen the same photos, and I've questioned a lot of it. And at the end of the day, going back to, it's the fitness industry. It's a lot like the sales industry. A lot of people make money off their physique, unfortunately. And I think the idea of someone being naturally thin and selling something based on their physique is not 100% morally correct or ethically correct, but it's good to know that that is now becoming more to the mainstream.
I'm really hoping so. I've seen a couple of people. I went on a really large Twitter rant and an Instagram rant about it because I can't stop talking. And I saw a couple of people like start picking up things like that or talking about things like that are a little bit more mainstream, and that's really cool. Because I think people get scared to admit that they're privileged. And what I do want to point out is that admitting that you're privileged, like I am naturally small. I'm not very lean, but I'm naturally a small person. I can go into any clothing store and find clothes that fit me. Like, that's a tenet of thin privilege. Little things like that you probably wouldn't think about normally. And admitting that I have that same kind of like thin privilege in a way doesn't make me immune to having struggles. It doesn't make me immune to having body dysmorphia or going through eating disorders or dealing with anything, really. It just shows that I'm aware of the overall picture. I'm aware that I'm given more opportunities as a naturally pretty small white woman than a lot of other people. And when we acknowledge that, what we're doing is validating the struggles that other people go through. So we're saying, hey, people that are not naturally thin, I know that I was given an opportunity that you weren't. I understand that, and I understand that you struggle perhaps more than I do because of that. And it applies to any kind of privilege. It applies to people of color, your privilege as far as like what sort of social class you were born into, all of those things. And as soon as we acknowledge that, we validate what other people go through that aren't like us. And that's so important. That kind of understanding is so, so important to staying human and to staying kind and compassionate.
Cool. Now, I do have a couple of questions for you from followers. The one question, I'll just bring them up so I can cite them word for word. Now, one of them was, we've covered one of them because it was, do you recall the moment you decided this is it, this is what I'm going to do? Can you describe when and how it felt? We covered that with the college, you sort of hanging out dorm rooms. Yep. One that I feel you're going to have an interesting perspective on is on the lowest energy days. Okay, what motivates you?
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think, well, so on my lowest energy days, so there's a difference between low energy and actual mental health issues.
Yeah.
I went through I had something happen in the fall and went through about 3 months of very, very serious depression and anxiety. And I did not train. I didn't care what I ate. Like, I really didn't do anything. And I'm not going to say that that was like the greatest decision I could have made, but it was what I needed. And I was aware that I wasn't capable of going to the gym. Like, when you really are dealing with problems like that, or like serious depression, serious anxiety, like those things are life stopping. They prevented me from doing the things that I really enjoy. But had I just tried to push through that instead of recognizing it and going through really shitty therapy sessions and dealing with the things that I had to confront, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now, where I'm back in the gym about 4 times a week and I'm eating really healthy because I choose to, and I'm enjoying my life again. So I think that, like, if you're having like a low energy day that's not just low energy, that's like seriously you really can't go do what you'd like to do, then go find help, go seek help, talk to somebody, realize that there's a difference between low energy and otherwise. For my normal low energy days, I think a lot of it is just like being willing to go and try something, like no matter what it is, right? Like if I really don't feel like working out, sometimes I'll just take the day off. Sometimes I'll find something alternative to do. So like today I did some more conditioning because it's challenging for me and I think it's kind of fun, instead of just going and doing everything I would normally do. I also like bomb remixes. I listen to a lot of remix playlists. I danced to Justin Bieber on my Instagram story earlier today. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed at all. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just, I think if you're mentally healthy, you don't have to push that hard. You don't have to push as hard as I used to. I just take a day off if I want to, or I don't if I don't. And I think that that's been a really hard process to get through. But being able to just say, okay, it's cool. I really don't feel like going today, so maybe I'll take today off. Oftentimes ends up working out better for me than trying to like grind through anything. I don't know. I'm not a big like grind through it, like push through it kind of person anymore. I'm more like, just do what makes you happy. And if you do that continuously, you'll probably see change. Like if you're going 4 times a week to the gym, you don't have to go on the 5th day if you don't want to. Like, you're probably cool. You're doing more than most people. So, like, realize that in, like, the grand scheme of things, if you're training, if you're trying to live a healthier life, you're doing more than most people. So, like, take that and be appreciative of that and be grateful that you can go and move and train and do these great things, and just do it in a way that's enjoyable for you. I don't know if that answers the question, but there's my answer.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I mean, that's brilliant. Like the whole, just don't push through it. Like I relate this to clients all the time. Like I had no energy, I didn't want to go. I'm like, that's okay. That's called being human. Like it's normal. You know, we're not everyone has to try and get on stage or have abs or be, 225 pounds, 100 kilos, and 9% body fat. Like it's okay. Yeah,
it started really pissing me off. Like how many FITSPOs, whatever you want to call them, influencers. There's a lot of them that work on this like no days off mentality, and it's such bullshit. Like you can't just push. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
No, do what you want. The protest is literally called "Fuck the FITSPO." I think we're good.
Cool. But you can't just push through everything. Like I've literally seen people that are like, it's 1 a.m. I just finished editing a YouTube video. I'm going to bed. I'm going to be up in 4 hours. I'm like, seriously? Go to sleep. Stop. Like. The world does not end because you didn't get this tiny little thing done, or like if a YouTube video doesn't go up in the morning, it's okay. Go to bed. Like you have to sleep. You have to do things that are maintainable. And it drives me crazy when I see people like this and they attribute it to work ethic, because it's not work ethic. At some point, it stops being work ethic and it starts being just too much. And it's not possible for other people to relate to that. It's not possible for other people to do that and stay healthy. And the other thing is, most of these people, most big influencers don't have full-time jobs. Social media is their full-time job. So, like, if I stayed up until 2 a.m. editing a YouTube video, I still have to go to work in the morning. Yeah. I can't relate to that at all. Like, if I stay up working, it's not healthy for me. Like, I have to sleep. I have to go to my job and do my, like, real adult things. And it's not to say that social media and editing and that kind of stuff can't be a full-time career if that's what you want to do, but it's not relatable, and it's not a matter of work ethic or lack thereof for you to take a day off, for you to take a week off or a month off, or not track food or track your food. Like it doesn't all connect to work ethic, and it doesn't make you a good person or a bad person based on how late you choose to stay up to work on whatever you think you need to be doing. Like, I'm so tired of seeing that. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, like you see it, we see it a lot, and I feel like people have that. Like, it's a weird mentality. It's that hardcore. They're trying to be, I'm hardcore, I'm better than you. I call it like the god. It's like that sort of like that. They are a god. It's a weird thing. I see it a lot, and it's just not like, I work in the fitness industry. It's not relatable. I sit there and laugh at it. Like, people are, oh, what do you think about, X, Y, Z? And I was like, they're an idiot. I don't know. Like, be more human, I think, is probably the easiest way to look at it. Now, the two things that I think is really, really cool that you're doing all by yourself here, and I want to touch on them. And the first one was the She Matters movement, which that kind of like came out of nowhere. You obviously had that in your head somewhere and then worked on it. And then the You Matter movement, which has an email list. Is it daily emails or is it weekly? Like, explain the whole thing to me. I kind of know the She Matters movement, but I went into the You Matter with zero idea because I want to ask questions and you explain it because I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, so they're related. They're part of the same kind of like home concept. She Matters started. There are a couple of websites. I don't know if people in Australia read them, but people here do. That are basically like websites for shit talkers. And they're anonymous, and people go on and they create forums about other people and they just talk about them. And they can be very entertaining to read, but they are not really productive in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
And a couple of my friends got put on some of those forums, and people were talking about them, the way that they live their life, choices that they've made, making judgments that they don't have any context about. And it really, I got to see how much that hurt the people that I care about. I got to see how like torn down they were by that, and that they didn't know how to respond or if they should change or if they should keep doing the things that they're doing. And so She Matters actually started on Twitter. And I have the original tweet on my Twitter. It's posted, like it's pinned to the top. And the concept was like, tag a friend and tell them why they make a difference in your life. And you use the hashtag She Matters. And it was just a way for me to like try to recognize some of the people that I cared about personally that were going through some of these like difficult times. And it caught on Twitter actually pretty quickly, which I did not think was going to happen. And it caught on Instagram a little more slowly, but still caught on. And it was really cool to like read all of these different people talk about like why other people made an impact in their lives or why they were important. And I think it's something that we don't voice enough. We don't voice enough how important other people are to us because we just get caught up in our own selves too much. And so it was just a way to kind of open up that discussion and allow people to talk about it and be a part of kind of a community. And then You Matter came off of that. So I used She Matters Movement, and You Matter were kind of the original hashtags. And it was just a little more pointed way, like when my posts weren't necessarily about other people, but were about like your own inherent self-worth. I started using the hashtag You Matter. And I created these You Matter moments, which are emails that go out Monday through Friday, every morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. So that would be like,
I have no idea.
I don't know, middle of the night your time?
Yeah, I think you get it in the morning. Well,
that would be like evening, I think.
Yeah, either way, you get it at some point during the day. Like, you get it eventually.
Yeah. So I just started that, and I think I have like 100. We reached over 100 subscribers this week, which was really cool.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And they're just little like bits and pieces. They're little like musings that I've had or things that I think are important for people to know. I have put things from like links to sites where you can learn about how to find a therapist. To this week we talked about bravery, and we talked about like self-love. And I also have some guests coming in every Wednesday. We're doing Woman Crush Wednesday. And so I'm inviting people to basically write a little guest post. So last week, Ariana D'Antone was our Woman Crush Wednesday. And this week, Emily Duncan is actually going to be our Woman Crush Wednesday. And then the week after that, I have a bunch more people I want to put in there. But also just for another way to get other people involved too and let other people share those opinions. But it's just supposed to be like a little uplifting moment, not a long email, just something you could read before you start your day and take it with you. and
That's
take those
amazing.
words with you, or if you needed to hear that.
That's so good. It's really funny you mentioned that Emily Duncan is coming in this Wednesday, because I, for the first time ever, came across one of those websites that triggered this whole thing on Saturday night. Okay, I was watching one of Emily's videos, her latest one, the Q&A, and they spoke. One of the questions was like, how do you deal about negativity towards you? And Emily Duncan is Emily Duncan. She's amazing, great person. I've never met her, but you learn, you see a lot of people on social media. She's really, really cool. So then I jumped onto her Instagram because I was like, I haven't seen this in a while. And she uses this filter on a lot of her photos, and it was driving me crazy trying to figure it out. So I Googled Emily Duncan filter, and one of those websites came up. And the stuff that people were writing about her was so ridiculous. And like 20 minutes earlier, I'd watched some video where she just about cried about self-confidence and everything like that. So I think, I experienced this for the first time over the weekend. I've never read one of those websites, but what you're doing here, to offset all that bullshit or offset all that negativity, because there's enough crap out there as it is. So to have someone like you that's like doing these positive things is amazing. Just really quickly, I'm going to link all that stuff below. So is that going into a website or anything, the You Matter movement?
So the link that I have in my Instagram bio it's like a short link to go actually sign up to the newsletter. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I try to make it pretty easy, like keep it pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's cool. There should be more empowerment, and this is just sort of off topic. I feel like there should be more positivity, especially within a community that is it's a niche community to begin with. And then within the fitness community, I think there's subcultures within the fitness community. And it's great that there's positivity coming out of it, and like transparency and everything else. That's pretty much it for the questions. I do have a couple of things that I've sort of thought of while we're talking that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
If someone who was thinking about getting into fitness, someone who wanted to lose weight or become healthier, but hadn't started yet because they had self-confidence issues, and they came up to you at a fitness expo or in the gym and said, I want to get started, but I'm scared. What should I do? What would your advice be to that person?
I mean, everybody starts there, right? Yeah. There's nobody that starts without being scared or frightened or thinking that they can't make an impact. And I think that that's something that stops a lot of people, is thinking that they aren't going to make a difference. Either they aren't going to make a difference with themselves, they aren't going to make a difference to others, but every single person's story is valuable. Your journey is valuable. And it's valuable not only to you, but to other people. Like, I am a normal human being, but I now have this like really cool social media family of like almost 13,000 people that are friends with me, because somehow they see that there's something valuable in what I have to say. I do not know why, but they see this value. And I never thought that would happen. I never had any like kind of trajectory planned for that sort of thing. But your journey is so important, and it should be important to you to take that journey. And however you choose to do that, just do it in a way that makes you happy. You don't have to weight train if you don't want to weight train. There's nothing wrong with being a runner or being somebody who likes to go hiking a lot. Like, whatever you're doing, if you're doing it to better yourself, that's enough. And a lot of people get stuck in this concept that they have to do everything, and you don't. You don't have to do everything. Start somewhere with something that you enjoy and just go from there. Explore things, try things. There's going to be failures, there's going to be successes, but at the end of the day, it's your personal journey and your story. And that's worth something, and it's worth something to you, and it's worth something probably to other people. There's always ways to connect with others through things like this. So, yeah, I mean, I would just say, like, you have to be proud of that. You have to be proud of your journey, and you just have to get started with something and make sure that it's something that you love and that you're proud of.
Yeah, cool. If you could choose one piece of advice, all right, so one step on a daily action to someone who's dealing with, unclinically diagnosed depression, or they're just feeling really down, or they're having a lot of issues, what's one easy step you could suggest from personal experience that you would advise them to do? Like, obviously, if it's really bad, see a doctor, but, one really simple thing that doesn't take a lot of time that you can advise them to do on a daily basis.
That's a hard one. I would say to take the time every morning or evening, either right before you start your day or right before you're about to go to bed, and write down at least 3 things. Things that you are grateful for, things that you are proud of, good qualities that you have, something like that. That's been really helpful for me. It's an exercise that my therapist has had me do, and it's hard. When you're really like in the midst of things or you really don't feel good about yourself, like that's not an easy thing to do. And write them down so that you can't just bullshit. Like actually put pen to paper and write down 3 things that you are grateful for, that you are proud of, that you did well today. Something positive, because as soon as you commit those words to paper, you validate them and you make them real. And you say like, yeah, I am smart, or I did a really great job at work today. Like I had a really great phone call with this client or this partner. Like anything positive that you can do that you can put back into your life is going to help you move forward with a little bit more joy and just a little bit more like self-belief. And every little bit helps. Like it's just a daily thing. So that would be my suggestion.
Cool. I had a feeling it'd be something along those lines because you mentioned it earlier. Now, is there anything that you want to leave us with? Because we're wrapping up here. I think I told you I would keep you for 20 minutes, for an hour and 10 minutes in. So I do apologize for that.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Anything that you'd like to leave us with?
Oh gosh.
We've covered so much. Like it's been amazing.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, I've said it before, but I'll say it again because I don't think I can say it enough. And it's just that like every person and everything that everybody goes through is valuable. And I just like I get so tired of seeing people down on themselves, thinking that they're not good enough or that they don't deserve to feel better or feel happy or go to the gym and feel positive or anything like that. And it's just like you deserve so much infinitely more than you could ever imagine. It's so hard to like narrow down into one thing, but it's just that every person's journey, every person's story is important. And you are so valuable as an individual. And you just have to like channel that and believe it wholeheartedly, even on the days when other people make you feel like you don't have that kind of worth. Like you're there and somebody is there to believe in you, and there's always people to talk to. There's always things you can do to like be better and feel better and live a better life. And it's not always an easy journey, but it's always worth it every time. Everything I've been through has shaped me into who I am today, and it's going to continue to shape me. And it may be weird to share the things that I've been through, but it's important and it makes a difference. And it's valuable to me to write them down and to believe them and commit it to memory. And it's valuable to someone, even if it's just one person out there, to read it and believe it and see it. So however you choose to take your journey, just be so happy and so proud that you're doing something to be better as a whole, as a human being, to like live a better life and be happier as a person on a daily basis. And just if anybody ever wants to chit chat, I'm so happy to like talk to people via email or DMs. Like I love making new friends. So if anybody still wants to talk, like please feel free to contact me. I love talking to people about my experiences, or if anybody has any questions, like it's super not weird to slide into my DMs. Like please do.
Yeah. Well, on that note, actually, I will link everything in every description that I post this on. Can you just your social medias? Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everything. It's all like Kendi Wendy. Like, your Instagram is Kendi Wendy.
Instagram is Kendi_Wendy.
Yeah.
Snapchat is Kendi_Wendy. Twitter is the same. So all 3 of those are the same. It's really easy to find me through all of those. It's a childhood nickname. My name is actually Kendall, I swear. Some people think my name is Wendy, which makes sense. Like I understand the reasoning behind it, but not even close. Facebook, there's like a page where you can like me.
Yeah.
I don't add a ton of people to my private Facebook page because it's gotten a little overwhelming. But Kenny Wendy Fit, I think, is the page you can like. I'm not on there very often, though, so you may not want to put that.
Yeah.
YouTube, I respond to every comment on YouTube. So if you go watch my videos, please comment. I love talking to people there, too.
Yeah.
And then my email is kennywendyfit@gmail. So you can also email me.
I'll link everything below. I follow you, and I personally follow you on everything ever since that Problems in the Fitness Industry series that kicked it off. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. This is so cool. And if there's like anything else I can do to help, please let me know.
Yeah, awesome. We're this is turning into my business partner. We've actually turned this into there's a whole lot more that this is going to become now. This is sort of spiraled from this idea of it thing that I wrote down and I emailed you on a whim, and away we go. But I cannot not say thank you enough for being involved in this. You were definitely one of the main influences for the decision of this happening, and I do hope that people that see this do find something in this, whether it's they get their perspective and they feel better. And so thank you so much for being involved.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, seriously, I really appreciate it.